Hello and a very warm welcome. Thank you so much for joining us to this live session today. We're trying to get a sense of how the Indian auto industry has been managing under the current lockdown period. The lockdown has been here for since March 24th, and with showrooms shut, factories closed, and people generally staying at home, cars, bikes, commercial vehicles are really not the high priority right now with the pandemic. To tell us more about that, we are joined today by Mr. Vinkesh Gulati. He's the Vice President of FADA. That's the
Hi.
apex national body for automotive retail in the country. Mr. Gulati, thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, Mr. Gulati, first up, straight away, I wanted to know how difficult have the past several weeks been for the automotive industry in general and the dealers in particular?
See, actually, nothing is specific to auto. All the business heads, all the industries are in a shock stage. Obviously, for everybody, health is the epitome for an individual, and for a business owner, obviously, his employees' health is important. So we have taken it very bravely. Automobile is a resilient business and altogether. So obviously, but on the other hand, our business is majorly is every month we have to sell vehicles or service vehicle to earn to sustain the economy of our in the auto trade. So yes, that's where a bit of pain is there because it's been now 40 days and a lot of places we are not looking also at being open and coming. Maybe another 10, 15 days or 30 days again, we are seeing at lockdowns, majority at red zones and some of the orange zones. So obviously that's a pain because there are a lot of expenses which are fixed point of view. We have an employee base which is huge. As FADA, all dealers put together, we have some 5 million manpower. A lot of places there are rents to be paid, there are overheads. So obviously this is not a great time. This is unprecedented time. We haven't seen this before, but yes, we are looking at a good time ahead. Let's hope health is an important thing. We recover from there and then take the bounce back of the economy back.
Right. I understand dealers can be of varying size. Their investments can be very different. Their locations are very different. So, do you think have you observed or have you had reports where dealerships in say tier 2, tier 3 towns, cities are struggling a little bit more than say dealerships in big cities? Obviously, they're all shut right now, but is the pressure more on smaller dealerships, maybe in tier 2, tier 3 cities?
So actually, it's a bit opposite. So if we talk of the tier 2, tier 3 town, the dealers are more well off on the point that the majority of dealers are sitting on their own land and building. So one big cost of rent which metros and tier 1 town have to bear is not there. And obviously the manpower salary levels at the tier 2, tier 3 towns are as compared to all the metros are very less. So all put together, if I talk, they are still better put as of now. The major issue is on the metros and tier 1 towns where the infrastructure cost is huge, the overheads is huge, the salary cost is major, where they are facing some problem. Obviously, they are bigger dealer, they have deeper pockets, but still the kind of expense we have, it's huge. And as it aware, it's a trading business where our 85% is the cost. So if a month of zero sale happen, so the actual 85% has to go from the savings. And in turn, if you don't have deep pockets, automatically it goes out from your stocks, or you deplete whatever reserve you have. So which is not in a good situation, seeing the industry as of now.
Right.
Sure.
What about car manufacturers? What about bike manufacturers? What sort of help have they been giving? Has it worked? And what can they possibly do more for their dealership network? Because in India and the world over, of course, uh, the more dealers you have, the more you can reach people at large. So that's a very big component. It's a huge help for car manufacturers and bike manufacturers as well. So what sort of help, if any at all, has come from generally these manufacturers?
So actually, as a process, there are a lot of amounts, money, what any OEM or the manufacturer has to go to the dealers. And normally, as a process, that shifts to our vehicle account, and we have to take the vehicles, and it comes in your trading business. It comes in your stock. So all the manufacturers have been very good enough to help us in giving all those credits in our bank account to increase our liquidity, so that at least we are able to cover up the costs of regular salaries and rents or whatever interest we have to pay. Some of the manufacturers have gone one step ahead by supporting their dealers by giving them some sustenance fund also. So where the problem with all the manufacturers or the dealers are huge, but a company like Skoda, Volvo, and two three more, they have even supported the dealers with some monthly sustenance amount. Obviously, that's not huge, but at least they're step towards being dealers hand in hand as a principal to principal relationship in this tough time gives a very positive image to their company, and obviously the confidence on dealer that they are in a very good hands as per the manufacturer they are representing.
Right. But having said that, help from the company is definitely really good. But what about help from on a larger scale? So I believe FADA had written to Prime Minister Modi a few days back, about a week back, about certain incentives packages, something that can be done about the automotive industry at
Yeah.
large. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about that.
So one major point what we have written to Prime Minister was on the working capital, seeing the regular cost without any revenue on the employee cost, which was the major part. And as a dealer, we have to control our cost, but we have to control it with empathy. So obviously, the employee salaries had to be paid, and without revenue, how could it be? So what we have requested the Prime Minister on the banking front, that whatever limits any dealer has it, uh, a 20% additional amount to be given to them as a small gesture for some time. Obviously, the dealer has to return it back. But in this trying time, he'll be able to have some cash flow to give it to the salaries or his overheads. Additional to that, we have even requested that during the lockdown period, the interest should not be charged. Moreover, what we have requested is for a normal customer side, which is the demand revival whenever we come out of this COVID crisis, is our age-old demand of reducing GST, because we are at the sin level of highest GST in the market, and a benefit to normal human being, Aam Aadmi, which we say that whatever depreciation benefit was given to last year to corporates should be continued this year. And it should be given to people or professionals like you who can buy a vehicle and avail that depreciation benefit. It will help you in your planning of buying a vehicle and income tax. And the third big demand, what can spur the demand back, is scrappage policy, which we are looking forward to, which Mr. Nitin Gadkari, Honorable Minister, has already committed, and we are expecting that to come. So these were the major points where we have written to Prime Minister from our association side.
Fair enough. Those are very valid points, and I especially like the point that you made about me buying a car and people in the service industry and Aam Aadmi being able to buy cars. But before I come to that particular question, because that's a very significant question which affects most of our viewers right now, uh, there's this very important question. There's this theme about retrenchment. Do you see people losing their jobs? Because in your letter to the Prime Minister, you had mentioned, FADA had mentioned that a lot of livelihoods are at risk. Hundreds and thousands of livelihoods are at risk. I know it's very difficult to make predictions right now, but if the current situation is prolonged, how much of an impact do you think it's gonna have on people at large in the industry?
See, actually, you cannot predict today. Once the lockdown opens, then you come to know. And as of now, see, there is a small issue. Obviously, it's a big issue on the point, but we are talking of only a month or a 2 month or 3 months max. These are the people who have been with us since ages. They have been trained with us. So a lot of relationship is there. So cutting jobs, I am not very confident that it will happen so early. Obviously, if this extends to 3 months, 6 months, then we obviously see exodus of the dealerships closing and then cutting job happening. But in our industry, normally it's a very skill-based manpower is there, and they are all trained. So as of now, we are not looking at a major cut in employees. But obviously, if this extends, I'm looking at some 8 to 10% dealership going down if this extends, and the degrowth what we have seen for the past 15, 18 months, if it deepens more and degrowth is there, then obviously with those, if the dealers close down, then obviously their manpower, whosoever they have, they will have to be moved out. They will become unemployed. So that's where in future we are dreading that it shouldn't go to that level. But if it happens, we'll have to face that also.
Yeah, we're all hoping that it doesn't extend to beyond a reasonable amount. Of course, the fight against coronavirus is priority. But assuming that all of this ends in the next couple of weeks, situation is brought under control. Uh, Specific to the automobile industry, do you really think people would be coming back? There will be a resurge of demand because let's remember 2019 was a very difficult year in any case, and 2020 was
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah.
going to be a renaissance, but that didn't really happen because of the situation. Uh, Again, I would like to ask you to maybe predict a little bit and tell us if you do really think that the demand is going to come back. People are going to opt for more private vehicles now just to maintain social distancing. Do you think people are going to sort of come back? And if you do think people are going to come back to showrooms, roughly the time frame?
So actually, before even giving you the prediction, there are two things in silver lining, two good things what we see. One, we have already said is that with the social distancing, we expect that shared mobility will take a hit. uh, uh, People moving on taxis, Ola, Uber will now they'll have some fear psychosis to avoid that. So obviously they'll be moving toward their personal vehicle. So expecting some customers to increase from that side. And second big thing is what even with the lockdown, the biggest industry which is continuing to thrive and grow is the rural pharma industry, and they agriculture is in the best of situation today. I don't know, I'm not a economist, but maybe for the past 2 3 years we'll be seeing the best crop this time, and the monsoon also is predicted as good. So we are seeing good rural growth, which was seeing degrowth for the past 2 3 years. We are expecting good rural growth there. And additionally, obviously, all combined, we'll be seeing some customers whenever the lockdown is open at the counter. But yes, all put together, we'll not be seeing a good year this time. Already out of 1 month, which was a very good month for auto season, where Navratri is there, Gudi Parva is there, even the marriage season is there. So all put together, in April and May, we'll be losing more around 30% of the sale. So in the balance month, and where the first 3 months, I'm not seeing a lot of good thing. So if we say that during the lockdown we have gone through a sleep phase, so maybe the first 3 months we'll be only walking, and actually running or seeing the customers coming up will happen in the balance 6 months. So we are looking at some 50 to 60% sale as compared to last year. So practically a degrowth of 40%, what we are expecting, 35 to 40% this year, what we are expecting.
Right.
Maybe two-wheeler would be better, but on the passenger vehicle, yes, it should be 35 40% now.
It's ironically we're speaking on the last day of April, and April the whole month has been under shutdown. So
Yeah, yeah.
a lot of companies are expecting something that's never happened really, which is a sales figure of zero
Yeah.
for the month, and that's, I mean, it was always coming, but that is going to hurt somewhere really really bad, isn't it?
Agree. And I'm not very confident also how will we come back to the normal stage, because this if you talk of the full strategy, starting from the component manufacturer, then to the manufacturer, then coming vehicle coming to the dealer. So unless and until the component manufacturers are ready with the raw material, even if all the manufacturer open up, they must not have a lot of stocks in of raw material there. So I don't expect coming to normal in before June. I don't see. Even May will be like this, disturbed only. And unless and until lockdown is open nationally altogether, the dealerships won't be able to open. So uh, May also, even if they produce, I don't see a lot of thing happening in the auto sector.
Right, right. You say
Yeah,
normal. The word that's going around is new normal with everything. That's
yeah,
not specific to
yeah,
the auto
yeah,
industry.
yeah.
So there is a new normal that will follow what's happening right now. New normal also gets me to something that auto car makers are increasingly doing now, which is turning to their online sales channels. A lot of companies have now bolstered their online sales platform, right from choosing a car or a bike to selecting variant, getting an online sales representative asking, answering their questions, to even digitally paying for these cars and getting them then home delivered. Now, which gets me to my final question, which has two parts. What does this mean for dealerships across the country? They have been brought under a common platform, but what does it really mean for those dealerships with those you mentioned previously with the rent and infrastructure costs that they've already put in? A. B. Do you think people at large would sort of open up to to something as going online, clicking on a few buttons and getting their car home delivered?
So actually, we expect this. So we expect a lasting impact on consumer behavior, and this will change obviously the way customer buy. The purchasing experience will change. But one thing is very clear: we are still in a situation where there are a lot of things which has to be done physically. India hasn't shifted to full digital thing where, like you said, you can go on the net, you can search on the net, you can even do the booking on the net. But practically closing the deal is not that easy possible. Indian human still wants to talk to somebody and ask about what discount I am getting, what schemes I am getting, or how can I get a better interest rate or something. Even today, for a financer, except for one or two financer where you have a good a CIBIL score or a good current account or a saving account, you cannot get loan on a cliff of a butter. So there would be 2-5% customers who can still work digitally and manage the way you have said. But talk of, we are still, our total sale is still hovers around 40-50% of rural sale, where the digital is just for information. Uh, they going and paying online it's a
Yeah,
I don't believe they'll even risk that. So,
but
but I
specific to
agree.
urban
The
buyers, specific to
urban
urban
buyers,
buyers,
maybe 2-4%, 5% we'll see
yeah.
that. But
I'm sorry, I
the
just want
requirement of compliances, the RTO is a must where dealer is there. A vehicle cannot be registered without even physical papers. The vehicle impression has to be taken. There are a lot of where finance, you have to sign paper in front of the finance people. So obviously we can send finance people to the customer's home also. So everything is possible, but not in bulk. So maybe some rare customers can do that. Or yes, this can happen in another 2-3 years when the customer thinking the overall system becomes digital enough where physical presence is less. During the coronavirus, yes, because of the social distancing and all thing, everybody would like to do. But once the vaccine is there, the virus is over, I feel Indians still like to sit, go to a dealership, have a cup of tea, chat about his neighbor buying what vehicle, and seeing 10 other vehicles, even if he is not interested to buy it, just to know what CC that it, how does it look, what's the feature is that. He knows that he doesn't want to buy that, but still he wants that knowledge. So for him, it's a picnic also. So
But are there
maybe
any
till
lessons?
that.
Are there, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but are there any lessons to be learned from, say, 12, 13 years back when we never could imagine buying a mobile phone? Something expensive as a mobile phone by, without even holding it in our hands. But now we all buy mobile phones mostly on through channels. I know a car or a bike is a much bigger investment, but is there something to be learned from how mobile phone sale actually
See,
went online?
actually, digital has already made an impact around 5-7 years back, but obviously the acceptance, the adaptation has been slow in India, being our human psyche, Indian psyche. COVID obviously will push us towards that, and whatever best we can think of, we'll have to convert ourselves. So basically, we were talking of physical platforms before where the dealership was there, the customer was coming up. Slowly and steadily, every company, every dealer is now thinking of digital, where physical and digital are being merged. And before we used to have we like to keep a sales manpower who used to talk good, who used to even say like, can relate to the customer, chacha, dada, and talk about some neighbor buying the vehicle and creating relationship. Now, for us, keeping a manpower who's digitally enabled is most important thing as of now. So he's able to talk to the customer in his own language, where the customer is online most of the time. So obviously, we have learned a lot, and the adaptation is now fast, and we have got a good time. Obviously, there's not a word to say good, because whenever we get the vaccine for corona, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, during this period every practice, every behavior will change, and automatically when we are normal, things will automatically upgrade themselves to become more digital than physical, what we were there before.
Right, right. So,
Yeah.
in our conversation today, the biggest takeaway, of course, is that things are definitely not how they were. They were never going to be under a lockdown. And the automotive industry has definitely, it's definitely hurting somewhere. Dealers too are hurting, but they're adjusting, and things can only improve from here on. Also, like you mentioned, people in India would still probably prefer going to a dealership, and it'll take time for digital to actually completely consolidate itself. Mr. Gulati, thank you so much for giving us an idea into what the industry has been going through, the concerns of the dealership, what requests have been made on their behalf, and a little bit of a glimpse into what the future holds. I know nobody can really predict, but we can all hope that things become a new normal, if not normal, and everybody is safe. Mr. Gulati, once
Thanks,
again,
Shubhadeep.
thank you so
Thanks.
much. Thank you. And
Thank you.
thank you so
Thanks,
much
Shubhadeep.
for everyone who joined us. Thank you, and
Yeah.
stay tuned to Hindustan Times.